Yeah, good morning, Daniel, right?
Yes.
Been what, since August 1st since I've been here last?
Yeah, a little bit cooler today.
And it's a little cooler today. It's really pleasant today.
Sure is.
So it looks like the building is done, and how did they do?
I think they did a fantastic job. We're really happy with the concrete pier system. I think every farmer or rancher considering putting up a building should look at this system. Never going to have to worry about poles rotting in the ground. I think once the building's up, it's pretty well maintenance free, and we won't have to worry about ever having to replace poles that have rotted out, and just one less thing you have to worry about with the building.
So you're telling me on your next building that you're going to buy, you automatically put these, you're going to insist on having these brackets put in your building?
Absolutely. I think the extra cost of the brackets and the concrete is just minimal compared to what the expense could be down the road having to replace poles.
Yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
And tell me what you see. Are you sure that this is where
I'm with Cy Wagenbaum in Tremont, Illinois. All right, so we're here talking about the concrete pier system that Jack Cutford in Mexico, Missouri invented and innovated and patented and all this good stuff, and you've been using it for a few years.
We've probably been using that for probably 6 to 7 years and something like that. It was one of the best things we've ever done, really. You know, it cut a lot of time of straightening the building up.
Yeah.
And once we got the brackets in the ground, the concrete and ground the brackets in, it'll cut put your building up, time of labor. Because once you put your poles in and screw into the brackets, it's straight. Yeah. Everything is straight.
So when you sell a building with the bracket in it, you sell against all kinds of other builders
Oh,
out
yes.
there.
Yes.
And one of the advantages, I would think, is that you don't have any rotten postage here in your building.
That's one reason we've done it. Not only doesn't the posts are rotting off, it's literally a stronger building when you get it done. The uplift, wind loads from the side of pushing, even just with the bracket itself gives you tremendous strength.
What would be one of the tallest buildings you ever built?
We built 24 foot.
24
Eve.
feet.
24 foot eave.
24 feet.
And most, like most buildings today, the farmers are getting taller and taller, but our average building today is probably an 18 foot ceiling, a 21 foot eave. And it seems like we just keep getting taller.
Yeah. So what is your biggest market, ag or commercial?
We do a lot of commercial, we do a lot of ag. I'd say it's 50-50. But either one, like a lot of them we pour foundations, like a 4 foot wall, we use the same brackets. And once you get the brackets set, it's really amazing how quick that pole building goes up. I mean, my boys are out there when they do it. It's in a day's time. It takes a pretty large building for us not to have it framed up ready for trusses. Well, for one thing, I think the one thing that you see in any pole building, as you sell a pole building, you want to look at the site and see how level it is. And you know, the farmers usually want you to take care of that problem because they just want to have the building.
Yeah. Well, years ago it was in this industry, it was salesmen sold the building like customer, you prepared the site,
Right.
and every time you got out there it was a surprise.
Right, because they never did have
They
too much
never,
of a
they
level
never got
line.
prepared. and this is one of the solutions for it.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really gives you a totally complete building. For one thing, when you use these buildings, there's a lot of people want to go with a commercial building because it's got a foundation. And this is giving you that building, really, when you're done. It's got a complete foundation underneath each pole. And when you if you pour a floor inside of it, it's like you know, that floor is sitting on that pier because that's a 16-inch hole where you set the bracket in. And that floor is sitting on a pier system all the way around that building.
So if I understand this correctly, unlike a prefabricated concrete column that has to be set to something level down in the hole,
Right.
you set the top of your concrete to a laser beam
Exactly.
where
right.
you can see it
Yep.
and it's not hidden.
Exactly right. We pour that whole pier, it's 16 inches diameter, 4 foot deep, and we clean it out well, and that's solid concrete all the way up.
Yeah.
And then we set these brackets right in there. Once you set the brackets, and we plumb them both ways, because I tell you what, once you get them brackets set, that's it.
That's it.
That is it, and you want them to be right, very simple. My men can usually set, we did buildings up to 200 foot long and have them all set by 2:30. Poured, drilled, set, done by 2:30. And when the guys come to build the building, it's very simple. Most of the time, they set their batter boards is to set the brackets. Them brackets are straight as an arrow.
Yeah.
So it really cuts a lot of time down.
Another thing I heard you mention earlier, that once you set your column on the bracket and bolt it to the bracket, you actually don't need to brace it.
No bracing, unless you have, of a good storm coming through.
Unless a storm is in the forecast.
That would be a reason, but most of the time, the bracing you have none.
Not necessary.
And you can climb that side of that pole building, there's none of this waving and stuff, because that is
It
solid.
won't happen again. But I can promise it'll be